started. So, last week, Brina and Rado continued their search for gods in the library. But Rado was very distracted. So Brina decided to take the two of them to, the cafe in the library to get some hot chocolate. Um, after Rada asked for a hug first. um, Idea continued her studies, and Erden tried to look into the differences between types of magic. At some point, Brina went to look for, I think, more stories, and finds a history of the Merlins, which translated itself.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it. Translated itself.
Idea asked for directions to the Forge District, where he re-encountered Hans the dwarf, and well, Hans knows a ironsmith by the that is a Naga. Day eventually goes over to the Forge District. First, going into a lead shop because they might know what the metal she's looking for is. It's very similar to lead. But then got redirected into a Dragonborn's shop and had just enough money to get the amount of molybdenum she was looking for. And now she has half a pound of it. And this week,
all right, who wants to go first?
Molybdenum, thank you.
Yes, I'll go first.
Okay.
Ern will continue his search to try and figure out any specific data on the interaction between religion or godly magic and literally anything else, and if it's destructive, constructive, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 1.
Oh, ouch!
So sad.
So obviously, I'm still with the last book I have, and just slowly feeling my brain drain out of my ears.
You're doing that one thing where you're like reading it and you realize you didn't actually read what you were trying to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you read it, but you retained absolutely nothing.
You got through like 3 pages, and then you're like, "Stop! I retained nothing." Just start over. I did it again. Something.
That's why I get smart people to do this.
The struggle is real.
The struggle is extreme.
My +1 intelligence is not designed for this.
I don't think you're going to get much with a natural 1.
Oh my gosh. This is as good as on Monday with my other group. One of my friends is playing a barbarian, but in our last campaign, she played a rogue who had like, I think she had a 21 as her passive perception. And now she has like a -1 to her. She's just like, I can't handle this anymore, guys. I can't. She gets so depressed. She's like, I can't see anything. I'm used to this.
Man, that reminds me of High Rollers. Because in their last campaign, their cleric had ridiculous passive perception, and now he's playing a sorcerer who has a -1.
All right. Erden's struggling. What else?
I'm reading the book on the Merlins, and not sure exactly what all I'm getting out of it, but
Right. I thought we were doing something with Rada's
Did
deities.
yeah, we should be doing something with Rada's deities. But what would, because I want to see what I'm getting out of this book on the Merlins. So what check would I need to do for that?
it's going to need to be wisdom, because it's kind of a memory thing. Like, what are you retaining?
Okay, I have an 18.
18. A significant amount. So right now you're reading about like the history, and they don't really know when it started per se, because for a long time the Druids didn't have a written language, and the other Celtic nations in general didn't have a written language, so everything was orally done.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until about the time that Rome came that anything started getting written down. And that's when you're starting to see names get written down. It is a title that's been passed down, and it's not like a father to son thing. This is the previous Merlin tends to choose the next one, kind of thing. Sorry, I'm trying to find.
No problem.
So it looks like one of the first written records was by was by some random Roman. They didn't have a name, they just said it was some Roman writer that had translated it to mean like madman. And so a lot of Romans were convinced that they were just like wild men in the woods.
Now, that was for translated Merlin as madman or druid?
Merlin, the word Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
They got it from they mixed it up with a Welsh word. With a Kimberly word, I should say. And misunderstood what they meant.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, it seemed that originally they were connected with a Celtic sea god, but have since pulled away from that, and it's more just magic in general. And that they're important political figures. Sorry, I thought I was hearing squeaking.
Elvis is on your bed. I don't know if he has like a squeak toy or something like that, but
Well, that's what I thought. I figured squeaking back there, but my bed shouldn't be squeaking with his weight on there. He's not that big. So I don't know. Either that or I'm just going crazy.
Hey Dominic, have you messed with your microphone settings recently?
I don't think so. Why?
I'm just noticing there's a lot of background fan or something getting picked up.
Oh,
Yeah.
the fan in the back might still.
I doubt it's that. See if it's hanging out next to anything, though. Sometimes we move things around. I mean, I could see if it's the fan. I'd be impressed if it was picking it up from there.
I'd be very impressed if it was picking it up, but just in case.
I thought it might just have been like background noise. When nothing's happening.
Generally, either Discord or just microphone gain kind of gets rid of that.
Did my sensitivity get messed up when my audio settings got messed up?
There's a long list of names. You, at least you think they're names.
Mhm.
They're capitalized. Obviously, they're in languages that you don't speak, so it would take a bit to get them translated. But there's a fairly decent list of Merlins. And it does seem to end at one that you might be convinced of, says Taliesin. You never actually asked him how he spelled his names. But it seems logical that it would probably end at who the modern one is supposed to be.
Mhm.
And a lot of them seem to be associated with other capitalized words, which might be the leaders, the kings and dukes and things that they were associated with, that they were supposed to be like helping whoever was the most important leader at the time, because they're supposed to
Be advisors.
yes, that's the word. I was like, what is the word I'm looking for? Advise leaders.
Because one thing I'm still curious about is the whole language that I can't read into language that I can read. Like, I still kind of want to understand that a bit more.
Like how the translation works.
Yeah, like, or not just how the translation works, but it's like, okay, so what was the original language that it was in that it shifted from? So would that be an investigate?
Yes.
Let me see. That's a 22.
There are lots of different languages mixed in here. As you're kind of searching through and trying to find the stuff that matches up, you'll see that some of it is Gaelic. Some of it is Scotty. Some of it is Kimry. And then there's a bunch that seem to be related to some of these. Elmeshan's also in there. And then there's a bunch that seem to be related to these that might be older languages from when they were separate tribes rather than some sort of united kingdom. Pun intended. Okay. um, One that I would say you would recognize is Dumnonia, because you know that that's where
Prince Urian?
Gorlo. No, he's
Gorlois. Right.
Dumnonia is Cornwall. Damnonia is in Scotland. Because that's not confusing.
You might need to write that down for me because I'm not gonna remember.
Put it in the role play. So Dumnonia is Cornwall. There.
Okay, so which one is it that I recognize?
Dumnonia.
Dumnonia, so Cornwall one?
Yeah, the Cornwall one. Technically Urian is, it would have been part of Damnonia, but they haven't existed for a very long time, so they're called something else now. Like, that was a tribe that got wiped out the first time the Romans showed up. You know, before the Picts showed up, it scared them back down into England.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So this would have been after Boudica, right?
Would have been after what?
Boudica?
Oh, Boudicca? Yes. She was...
The Icenian queen?
Yeah.
I can't
I
tell
believe
you
so.
right now, unless you're going to be very quick.
Yeah, because she was in the Iceni, and that was 60 AD.
You don't get where you're going to get and get out.
Yeah, so prior.
Okay, so I recognize the Dumnonian.
And you know what? Just because I think it would be hilarious and fantastic, that's one of the names that's in there. She was a Merlin.
Get the door.
It's not like in the Celtic culture they'd have been offended about a woman leading.
Oh yeah.
They'd have been like, oh, yep, she's got this. Yeah. It's one of the things I have with Queen Guinevere. She takes no crap from anyone, and Arthur's just like, I wouldn't piss her off. I mean, she's got mad aim with a bow, guys. She's Kinry. And the Kimri all had female leaders. Like, she was intended to be, like, queen of her own country, and he's just like, look, she's the boss. Just saying. Don't make her angry.
It's like, yes, I'm the king, but fear the queen too.
I mean, there's a reason why there's a saying, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
It's one of my favorite scenes I ever wrote is that Bedivere, who's Lancelot, like, offended her or something, and as he was walking away, she got her longbow out, she just shot him in the ass. And Gawain was watching, and he just goes, I don't even feel bad. This is hilarious. He's like, I'm going to take you to the doctor to get this out, but I am going to mock you for this for the rest of your life. Because you deserve this. And he never said anything against Guinevere ever again. Just, nope. Yeah. Yeah. That's what he is French. I guess we gotta forgive him a little bit. Their ways are different.
Never forgive the French.
All right.
So I recognize the Dumnonian. But like, do I recognize that? Because I guess my first thought was that this was written in Druidic, and then it like shifted.
I thought we established that Druidic doesn't have a written language.
Then how do you know that? Then how is that spelled in Druidic?
No, that was Fey. Fey doesn't have a written language.
Yeah,
Fey doesn't have a written language.
Druidic. Druidic is like a weird combination of all of these and Fey, which is why it's so complicated for others to learn, because Druidic is a magic language made by a people that are technically not a magical people. They just happen to have a few who are good at it.
Well, Druid could be a constructed language before they became popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like when we're trying to read Old English before we had any, Webster. There was no rhyme or reason to it. You just spell the way you thought it sounded, and that's just how it goes.
So like how most practitioners of English until they get told otherwise.
So is any of this in Druidic?
This does not seem to be.
Okay.
Thank you, Marco, for reminding me about that one person from the colonial era. Just
give me another wisdom while you're thinking about that.
Is the dot at the bottom or the top of the number?
The dot's at the bottom.
Okay. So, and you said wisdom or what?
Wisdom, just a
wisdom check.
Yeah.
It's a 10.
A 10. I think that's enough for this. It's just you haven't noticed anything so far that looks Druidic anywhere in any of your readings. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense because they probably don't want that to get out. They don't teach anybody who are outsiders how to read it or how to speak it, so why would they let outsiders learn to read it?
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely, you were going through those books, you didn't see a single Druidic translation book in the dictionaries. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, maybe they just don't have that here.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes that scroll even more suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Except Adea doesn't know this.
Yeah.
And she hasn't really shared it with anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did
Other
this
than her sleepy comment that nobody took seriously.
I was distracted by toast.
Or didn't catch, yeah.
So, would it be an investigation or an arcana check to try and figure out why the book looked like I couldn't read it and then it like magically translated itself for me?
Arcana.
Well, that's better. Oh, wait. Arcana. That is a 19.
That particular one had a spell placed on it so that anybody could read it in a language they felt comfortable in. Whoever made that book wanted people to read that book. Or scroll, or whatever, Occasionally you'll get somebody who's like, I only know this language, but if I put this spell on here, everyone will know what I mean, and that's what I want.
Mm-hmm. So if this is if it's basically shifted into a language that I know, this is
Hawaiian.
It basically shifted into Oceanic for me?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
The only written language that Brienne knows.
Yeah, it is the only written language that I know because Faye doesn't have a written language.
And some of these languages are also probably questionable about whether they had written.
Oh yeah, like all these like really old Celtic tribes absolutely do not have a written language.
Mhm.
And technically, Slavic also doesn't have a written language yet.
Yeah, that's true. The Thay-Slavs might though. After all, they sometimes get ahead.
Which both of those two comments together now make me very curious to know if Adea knows how to write in Slavic.
Well, here's the thing:
Is this one
is
of the
that
She does know it, yes.
given who the Slavs would have had contact with, it most likely be either the Latin alphabet or the Greek alphabet.
Which case, she probably thinks they speak Greek or write Greek and just pronounce things really weird.
Some of these words don't
She's
even
like, I don't know
match.
how they get these sounds, but they do. Huh?
Some of these words don't even match. Like, they don't even sound the same. And yet they mean the same thing? Perhaps it's just a homonym.
Thought you said this word was red.
I just realized something. I would have noticed Taliesin. I would actually notice Taliesin's name. Yeah, I never asked him how to pronounce it or spell it. I mean, but I found the scrolls in the music section that were written by Taliesin, so I've actually seen his name written.
That's true. Yeah.
But he's the end of the list. Emrys isn't on there.
No.
Okay.
That's because everyone thinks Emrys is dead.
Yeah.
Died before he could take the mantle.
Mm-hmm.
Dun dun dun. It's all up to you now, Will. Good luck.
What are we talking about? It's been Will the entire time. Emrys? Who is he?
Well, not the golden boy, that's for sure. That's Arthur. All right.
Okay. I'm just gonna
And it-
keep happily reading my book unless Rada seems like she's in distress. So.
How are we feeling, Rada? Are we in distress?
Well, maybe. I haven't decided. The dice haven't told me anything yet.
Have yours and Erden's dice been polluting?
I can only assume.
My metal dice have turned on me. I'm sure they will turn again, but the time being, that means that it's really bad for this campaign and really good for the campaign I DM for.
How the turntables.
Yes.
I just had one of my d20s literally roll a 6 5 times in a row. Like, I don't know what happened to it, but it's sitting in dice jail for a while.
And do you remember the cursed dice?
I do. I remember I had to hold them to make them not be cursed.
Yes. They only rolled 2s and 19s, and for me, they mostly rolled 2s.
Wait, did Will Wheaton touch your dice?
No. You know who Will Wheaton is?
Nope.
Okay. Will Wheaton was the youngest cast member on the original Star Trek, and he's kind of a pop culture icon because of that role. And he's been in other roles. He did a cameo in Big Bang Theory. He's a very talented actor. He's also an uber nerd, like very much. I actually watched him on The Great American Read on PBS when they basically polled the US to see what America's favorite novel was, and one of the things that he talked about with was on Lord of the Rings, because he was explaining how his favorite character was always Sam. Like Sam is always his favorite character.
He also
Has
has a
always been his favorite
reputation
character.
for cursing any dice set he touches.
Oh, does he? See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The cursed dice are why I now own metal dice.
Mhm.
Because
You
they're
know-
much more likely to be evenly weighted.
You know who else plays Dungeons and Dragons? Vin Diesel.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. I think he plays with his nieces and nephews. And then he has like his own actual group.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's super funny. When I saw that, I was like, wow, you're such a nerd for an action hero.
Okay. I mix him and somebody else up quite a bit, so I'm like, okay, I'm looking this guy up to remind myself who he is.
Pacified.
You
My dad-
remember the marble? I forget if it was a sign or the map, but it said "Don't drive like Vin Diesel."
Yes. Oh, yeah. It was a drawing that one of the kids did on the back of the little map of Marble, Colorado. Yeah, saying "Don't drive like Vin Diesel." Honestly, my favorite Vin Diesel movie is The Pacifier.
Let's see. I think our vice president has done Magic the Gathering and Pathfinder at one point.
Have you heard the Avengers play Space D&D?
Doesn't surprise me.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so it was a joke that somebody said, and they're like, the Avengers play Space D&D. The result is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mhm.
So the Dungeon Master is Agent Hill. Drax the Destroyer is Thor. Gamora is Hawkeye.
Wait, who?
Hawkeye
No,
is Gamora.
who
Gamora.
Gamora's Hawkeye?
Star-Lord is Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Rocket and Groot are Pepper and Tony. Then you have Phil Coulson as the Collector.
Oh,
The
that
Black
works.
Widow is Nebula.
Who's Nebula?
Natasha.
Gotcha.
And then Nick Fury is Yondu.
Sorry, Nick Fury as Yondu is probably one of the best ones out of that. Though Nebula's Natasha is perfect. I forgot that Vin Diesel was actually in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's Groot.
Yep. I am Groot. Anyway, so Rada, distress.
Stress.
Alright, well, let's say high on the D20 is doing fine, low is not doing fine. Oh, she's doing fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a 15.
So what is her plan at this point? Because technically, in order to be a cleric, you have to be chosen
Mm-hmm.
by a god. If you choose a god, that makes you a paladin, so your magic would change.
Yeah. And she is not necessarily that kind of person that would go out and bother someone.
Uh-huh.
So, well, I suppose her grand plan at this point would be to wait and see who, because the Dagda did say that she was noticed. So just her plan, at least for getting her cleric powers back, is to wait and see who. As for right, now.
Do you like my strat column? Lots of rock.
How long did that take?
Too long.
Well, that's just a given with strat columns.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe a month. It's just like the and that's just the handwritten part. That's not even the part that Eric's been trying to digitize it, and that's been taking forever.
Man, now I'm having flashbacks to GeoCamp. Those strat columns and cross sections were not fun.
I'm starting to wonder if clerics are rare in this world. I'm rare. You have to be chosen by a deity. What does it take to be noticed by a deity without getting their attention? Well, you do get their attention, but not by specifically asking.
Notice me, senpai.
Obviously, the Greek deities were very involved.
What may have been has been like, you're a priest. You're now a cleric now. You have magic now.
I believe you believe enough.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
my thought was the fact that if the pantheons are in danger of dying out, wouldn't they try to find more clerics, because that helps foster the belief in them to keep them alive? Like Hephaestus was trying to get a hold of Medea, and because she didn't listen, he died.
it depends on the deity, because if you think about it, like deities like Zeus are probably too proud to ask for help. You know, it's like, no, I should be able to have the same number I've always had and be fine, you know?
Well, I wasn't thinking about him. The Greek pantheon we already know is gone, including
Right.
Zeus. Does that mean Mount Olympus is gone now?
Oh no,
Which
Mount
one?
Olympus is just uninhabited.
It's just inhabited?
Yeah, it's a ghost town now.
That works for them.
Their
Looks like
work slowly crumbling to dust. As if they were never there.
Sorry, I'm just gonna write a few numbers in.
Forget, does Mount Olympus float in the sky? It was still there, but it fall without the power of the gods.
Pretty sure it has a land base because George and Henry were there.
I mean, it is a mountain.
Yeah. I think
Also,
it
yeah,
actually.
you have myths of people trying to get on top of it.
The mountain itself is crumbling to dust.
Is that better than it becoming a volcano and blowing up?
I mean, Thranaki is basically becoming a desert, so I mean, I'm kind of just imagining like it's slowly becoming just windswept plains. Like you can barely even tell that there's a hill anymore. Eventually, like literal mountains and valleys are leveling out.
Because there's no people to cause geologic processes.
Hmm? The very system of belief has failed, and therefore, if the system fails, the land cannot sustain itself.
Apparently, Mount Olympus is a real mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. That's why Marco asked which one.
As
Yeah.
long as you consider the Appalachians real mountains.
There's
Yeah,
also
so
a Mount
are you
Olympus
talking
in.
about the?
There's also a Mount
Actually,
Olympus in
maybe a little
Greece.
taller than that. 9,500.
There is also a Mount Olympus actually in Greece.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It is actually a real mountain.
Okay, but you just said if you consider the Appalachians real mountains, indicating that it was in the Appalachian range.
No, indicating that it is roughly the same height as the Appalachians.
Yeah, because for a minute there, I thought you were talking. I thought that there was like. I thought that somebody in the Appalachian region had basically taken the name of Mount Olympus for the mountains, which we know that they do
Mount,
because Kentucky is
mhm.
grabbed names from everywhere.
Mount Olympus is taller than the tallest peak in the Appalachians. I joke about this because the Appalachians like entirely sit at heights that cities that are not in the mountains sit at in Colorado.
I mean,
Welcome to comparable elevation.
Uh-huh.
I have heard my parents say that an ant came down from I think Massachusetts, and this is back when the smog was really bad in Southern
Mhm.
California. So they were like coming out in this direction from like LA or somewhere, looking out at the hills and seeing, oh, those are some pretty tall mountains. Nah, the mountains are on the other side of the smog.
Yeah. Um, the town that I grew up in Colorado is only 200 feet lower in elevation than the tallest peak in the Appalachians.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective.
There's a reason we joke that they're just hills. That's not a mountain.
Should do 3.
But when you're coming from, basically sea level, 6,500 feet does actually look like a mountain.
No. No, yeah, that's okay.
To get the same effect in Colorado, though, you have to get to 13,000 feet.
Some conversation, but Mount Olympus is also on Mars, and it's bigger than 2 Mount Everest, so you know.
Olympus Mons.
Uh-huh. No, I already looked on the mountain. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, I was watching a video on like why mountains don't get as tall as they do on Mars. And they said that if Olympus Mons was on Earth, you need a spacesuit to be on top of the peak.
Mm.
Why do I have a feeling that there would be somebody out there that was absolutely positive that they could do it without the spacesuit?
I mean, Mount
We would
Everest.
have their corpse to navigate by when they died.
True.
Mount Everest is already barely possible.
And there's people that are bound and determined to do it without sufficient oxygen levels.
Like, I'm pretty sure Everest can be done without oxygen support, but
Mhm.
it requires
It's a whole
training.
heck of a, it's a whole heck of a lot harder
and
than it.
acclimation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. People have done it before, but it's not. That doesn't mean it's a smart idea.
Mm-hmm.
It means it's a daredevil's idea.
Mm-hmm.
So we know the physician's
I
going
was-
to try.
Of
Mm-hmm.
course, yeah.
He's probably done it a few times. Actually, that's why I like to compare. If you aim, aim for the moon, you'll land among the stars.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Shoot
like
for the moon.
countering. I was like countering that with yes, and all those people on Mount Everest definitely fell among the stars, didn't they?
I mean, there was one season that was so infamous that it was turned into a book and a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Into Thin Air, if you're curious.
Yep. I tried reading that. Didn't finish it.
Mary, when you said that your mascot got struck by lightning and died, that just reminded me of Pliny the Elder's history of the natural world, and just being like, humans are the only animal that can survive being struck by lightning. All other animals, they die.
Jen, we were talking about school mascots earlier, and my high school is the Bison, Great Falls High Bison, and for many, many years they actually had a live bison that would go out and run around on the field before games and stuff like that. And then she got struck by lightning and died.
That's unfortunate.
Yes.
Pretty sure an ant could survive being struck by lightning.
Now you've made me curious.
If it survives a raindrop. Okay, cool. Yeah.
The bison has survived a lightning strike.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Cool. I'm sad that it was not our mascot.
I had a geology teacher who got struck twice on Electric Peak.
I remember seeing something about a guy in history that he was struck like 7 times within his lifetime.
Yep.
And then it struck his tombstone after he was dead. And I'm just like, come on! Leave the guy alone!
Well, here's the
You know,
thing.
he brought those first 6 on himself. He was an outdoor runner.
Well, lots of times he tried to outrun the storm.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well, not like literally outrun it, but just like he hopped in his car and then drove beyond the storm. But because
Yeah,
lightning
no,
is the way it
yeah.
is, it just went out and struck him. Well,
Anyway, what are you up to?
Medea has to go get the next ingredient or find out that it's too expensive considering where we're at, which was iron. So off to the ironsmith she was told about by Hans.
How much money do you have left?
40 gold, 6 silver, and like a handful of copper pieces.
You're gonna have to hope that The iron is that much.
All right.
They might have to wait till we go to London, or the Isles again.
I want you to give me a survival check because there's gonna be way more ironsmiths than there are of this last one you were looking for. While you're doing that, Rada, can you roll me a d6?
I rolled a natural 2, which is a
Ooh.
7.
Ouch.
You know, Dea, you could ask for your local busker to give you some spending money. Especially since he helped out with your last sword.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So you got a 70, Dea?
Yeah.
You get a little overwhelmed. You get over there, and it's just like iron, 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 and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of them. And you like momentarily forget who you're supposed to be looking for.
What's this? There's iron everywhere.
What's this? What's this? Food house still need to find.
And you're like, well, I need iron, and they all sell iron, but also I'm trying to do something complicated, so a little expertise would go a long way here, but, so much iron.
Section, there's actually people out standing in front of the smithies, like, we've got a sale, and they're trying to get people to come in. So you're like targeted by people, and of course it's like salesmen. You know, they see a woman and they're like, she doesn't know what she's doing. Let's just get her for all she's got worth, you know? Because apparently we don't know how to buy things without being scammed. Right?
Mm. So
The dam might be bad
Yeah.
with money, but she's not that bad. If she knows the value of anything, it's probably going to be iron.
yeah, it's gonna be her materials. Like I don't worry as much about Dea with that. So Jen, when my mom and I were heading down to Utah to visit my best friend, we were driving down in her Tahoe, and we were splitting up the driving. We literally got over the top of the hill coming out of the canyon to go down into Helena. Her transmission went out.
Oh, no.
We coasted down into a gas station, but the shop, the auto shop we took it to in Helena, they looked at her and me and it's like, oh yeah, what can we get out of these ladies? The guy that we normally took our vehicles to back in Great Falls, he was trying to contact them and make sure that it's like, okay, what is it that we're quoting here? What is it that you're trying to do? They're trying to charge us for a whole bunch of other things other than just the transmission. He literally paid for it to be towed back to Great Falls so they could work on it and not have the people in Helena work on it at all. Because it was that bad of what they were trying to do to us. So yeah.
Nice that somebody had your back.
Oh yeah, no. Like the people that and it was interesting because it was a dealership that we always took our vehicles to, and a lot of times the dealerships get more of a bad rap. They always were great to us. But yeah, no, I've experienced that firsthand where salespeople are like, it's a woman. We can filter for more stuff.
That's why I hate shopping for computers, because they're always going to try and upsell me, and I'm like, look, I know specifically what I want. And sometimes what I did, so the last time when I went to go get my tablet, I said, this is what I'm looking for, and they were like, go for this. And then I went and bought it off of Amazon. Because I was not about to pay $600 for something that was only worth like $100. I was like, thank you for your service.
Bye.
My
My apologies for the interruptions. Now we can go back to what she's doing.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Naga.
moments where you totally just make somebody look real stupid because the people who are trying to sell them to you are not necessarily the ironsmiths themselves and don't necessarily know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as you do. It's like when
But
you go to
Dea
Walmart,
looks at them
you sell this,
and
and
is
they're like,
like,
oh.
I could turn that into something in 5 seconds if you would like to keep on trying to charge me outrageous prices. I can go elsewhere.
I'm sorry. I can immediately tell on sight that that is only 50% pure iron.
Nice try.
Even funnier, it's like, why are you trying to sell me iron that's already rusting?
Right?
Like,
that's just impressive.
Impressive and depressing all at the same time.
At one point, you're just like, that's not even iron, that's nickel.
Dea stares somebody in the face. Do you see the armor I'm wearing? I made this. Try again.
Too bad
Let's
Ernest
see.
Excuse me,
isn't there.
madam.
Too bad
Excuse me,
Ernest
madam.
isn't there.
Have you heard of this amazing adamantium armor made in chainmail style? This is truly amazing. Only 100,000 silver
Right.
pieces for this magical thing.
Idea, do you even know what a naga is? Do you know what you're looking for?
I'm trying to think if Nagas exist in the cultures that Adea is familiar with.
Pretty sure they're Indian.
Yeah, they're Indian.
They're Indian.
Well, I think the closest that Adea ever got to Indian was Scythian, and that's not terribly close.
No. So it's like you're getting hounded, and then you finally stop and you're like, I don't even know what race I am looking for. I wouldn't even know this person if I saw them because I don't know what this is.
Oh, jeez.
What you would give for a Google search.
Right?
We definitely use those in our space campaign where instead of doing an investigate, we do a Google search.
Yes.
I mean,
Google's gonna
awesome.
flash away in the future, guys. It's gonna just be there forever.
what were you saying, Arthur?
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
So, Adea has gone into shop after shop at this point and cannot get good prices. Is that a good summary of...
Yeah, I mean, there were some that might have been good prices, but they were treating you quite poorly
Uh-huh.
of your sex, and you were just like, I don't even want to do business with you. Like, you don't respect me for what I'm doing.
A day is getting a WWF, a walking while female.
The next one that does that might get a fabricate thrown on an arrowhead thrown into their shop.
Do you still have
That would be
those?
hilarious. I have learned the fabricate iron arrowhead trick. It's great.
But do you have any of those?
No, I think Aridin has them all.
Whoops.
But there's a lot of iron in those ironsmiths. I might have one lying around for me.
Just take a free sample. May not have. Be
Yeah,
good
just
enough.
take a free sample. Just pick it up, enchant it, and throw it at them.
The range is 120 feet. I just have to see it if it's in their shop.
You don't even have to touch it.
Oh man, now I'm tempted to just be like, "Hey, pretty lady, wanna buy a chunk of iron?"
considering a day
Weird
is
part,
age,
no.
no, I don't want to hear that. Even though in this day and age, it is an adult.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing like an old man hitting on you, and you're just like, please go away.
So
We're in a phalanx, so I can't just put on a glamour and at least get half of it to go away. I can all see through it.
actually,
It's
since
all
you don't have your
weird.
glamour up, do you think it's because Idea doesn't have her glamour up? Do you think it's actually worse that they're because of the fact that she's gorgeous? She's an Amazon.
I have to imagine it goes a little bit of both ways depending on who it is. On the one hand, you're like, it's a freaking Amazon. They probably know their weapons. On the other hand, you might just get distracted and you're like,
Well, no, you see,
cut it
You
out.
also
Leave me
have
alone.
how many Amazons actually leave their island?
yeah, that's what
Outside
I was
of
saying.
the-
It's
Yeah.
anyone that's
But if you
ignoring you
recognize
knows.
your
And most people would probably not have seen an Amazon.
They probably think you're some sort of demigod, honestly. They're like, I mean, technically the Amazons kind of are, but like,
Yeah.
they probably don't see you as like a race. They just see you as you're probably the child of some god, and that's why you're so freakishly tall.
And that must be another reason, why they're hounding you, because you're a child of a god. You must be rich.
Or capable of giving otherwise comparable power.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see here. Does Adea even remember that we're eventually going to go back to the army on the Isles?
Yeah, I think so, because I know it's been talked about. The
I
plan
think
was
so.
With disadvantage.
just
I'm like, Adea's probably not paying attention half the time, but after enough of these, she's like, even if I find good priced iron for here, I think I want to get iron there. Okay, one more shot. If this one's not good, or who I'm looking for, then
Oh,
we'll handle the iron part of this later. I have a backup plan.
high or low, Idea?
Low.
So you walk in this shop, and there is a Minotaur in there. He looks at you, he takes one look at you and goes, I'm sorry. I don't serve Amazons. The last one who here trashed my shop. I'm not okay with that.
Considering Adea has actually already formulated a plan that could have done that, but Adea looks at her and goes, well, at least you were straightforward. It's more cordial than most of the ironsmiths around here have been. Adea.
He just kind of blinks and cocks his head, and he's like, okay. He wasn't expecting a response like that. He's like expecting a fight. Oh. I rolled a 6 on that. I was like, yep, definitely not who she wants.
I love that. I don't serve Amazons. Well, surprisingly, that is not the worst experience I've had today with trying to find irons.
Like, it's like, surprisingly, that's like the most honest conversation you've had with anybody in this iron district.
Right, you're like, that's the best one yet.
Well, and it's not like he was being he wasn't being disrespectful either. He was just like, sorry, like,
Right?
I've had experiences with your people. I just don't want to deal with it. And you're like, that is fair. Have a nice day.
That is fair.
You didn't disrespect me. You got straight to the point.
Your blatant racism is a welcome change to the sexism and flat ignorance of most others.
Right? Oh my gosh. My eyes have been just fun today. I woke up and like this eye was just like red and puffy and itchy, and I was like, I'm having an allergic reaction to what? I have no idea. I just woke up. And then
allergic reaction to morning?
I don't know, maybe it was Albus. Maybe he got into something that I'm allergic to. Can't imagine what. Megan and I try really hard not to have things we're allergic to here.
Generally seems wise.
It makes sense.
Oh,
Unless
right.
with the inversion, there's something in the air from the inversion, which is not helping.
Of course not.
This having failed, the day is going to leave the Iron District because trying to do magic-related things in the Iron District is an understandably bad idea unless we're trying to make things fall apart, in which case, go crazy. With that said, Dea will plan to get iron later and move to her backup plan, which is just to enchant her armor. Use one of her infusions on her armor. Although it's
Sweet.
late in the day and I have to do it after a long rest, so this might be a tomorrow thing.
Yeah.
Might be back to the library.
Sweet.
Which also means
You are-
that she won't get lost for once. At the end of the day, somebody's gonna find her.
All right, you're making your way back to the library.
Uh-huh.
We're going back to you. How's it going?
Let's find out.
The struggle is real.
So, wisdom roll, right?
Yes.
And that is a dirty 20.
Finally.
Okay. I gotta focus. I gotta take a deep breath, channel my chi or whatever.
Punch down this baguette.
So you're not finding anything that's saying explicitly that different types of magics can't be mixed. However, most people don't do it. Just on basic principle, most of the people who get celestial magic don't want to offend the deity who gave it to them by trying something else. Because what if all of their magic gets taken away from them because the deity gets pissed? Like, I gave you a gift and you're not using it. You know, like that. And then, of course, those who don't use deific magic don't have a way to test out whether their magic would be bad if they tried to use both because they can't access the deific magic. So it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of testing done. There is no science.
There's no science.
Just a day.
Just a day.
This is literally just Urban coming up against there is no documentation for this.
Yeah, basically, like, nobody has made note. Right now, you have a sample size of 1.
And it's your party member.
Yeah,
And it's a terrible sample size.
Ern has been coming up against error 404 this entire time.
Error 411, information not found.
Yep.
Like, just, at that, just Ern just like sets everything down and just sits back in his chair and just
I feel like there's a real
Okay.
simple way to answer this question that you just haven't done.
Oh no, Ern is absolutely going to do that next. He pulls out his map of the library and just sees if there's like a training area or something. Literally, if there's a dummy nearby, he can just smack with his sword and see what happens.
Not within the library itself, but there does seem to be a training field on the grounds of the library. It's between the Census Bureau and what seems to be a transportation building for licensing. Basically, it's a DMV. The two places that are going to make you angry, and they put a sorting spot in the middle.
I wonder why.
Please don't take it out on our employees. Go here.
We understand the anger this can cause. This is your outlet. Do not take it out on us.
Our idea.
After finding that, Ern closes everything up, tries to organize it a little bit because he probably doesn't remember where half of things he took from goes, so he tries to put the rest back. And starts making his way down the stairs to where at least Brina and Rada are. See if they're still in the, I guess, literature section.
Oh, literature, religion. Because I'm hanging out with Rada and keeping her company.
Part of me wonders if the way that we put books away has made us a menace to the library, and part of me wonders if it's just if we're just like everybody else.
Definitely
Yes.
just like everybody else. It's like I want to be nice and put it back, but I don't remember where it came from, so here.
And then there's Brina, who actually remembers where she grabbed things from.
And nobody's invented the system yet of please don't put your books back. Here's a card that says so. Put it on this card.
Totally have. Nobody uses it. They're having this conversation the other day. The UPS guy couldn't read the sign where it said, "Hey, can you please make deliveries during business hours instead of leaving notes?" It's like the first sign on the door. No, because they don't read.
I've had this
Yeah, it's
discussion with many
UPS.
people. The number of people who refuse to read despite the fact that they are hypothetically literate is disturbing.
Very.
Anyway, you were saying?
It's not just UPS in general, frankly.
Oh. FedEx too. Ah.
Like, UPS will whisper at your door saying, "Are you there?" and then leave a note, while FedEx just throws gasoline on your package, lights it on fire, and then throws it at your door.
Me drive all over the freaking Gallatin Valley to get my cell phone because they refused to. The first time they missed me, I was like, okay, well, I was just getting back from work. I understand that. So I tried to call them and said, hey, can we make sure that this gets delivered when I'm home? Since apparently I need to sign for it. And they were like, that's kind of up to the driver. And if the driver doesn't want to do that, I'm like, it's their job to make
delivery times is the worst. It never works.
It's down the street from where I live. Can we drop it off there and I just pick it up when I get off work? Oh no, we can't do that. And then they stopped trying to deliver it to me and made me go all the way to Belgrade and then found out it's not at Belgrade. It was in the one in Corners. And I was like, for the love, can you just give me my package and stop being stupid? And then I found out they did drop it off at the one that was near my house. They just didn't tell me and then sent it back to the one in Four Corners. I was like, if you want me to use your service again, this is not the way to do it. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, you get to the religion section, and they're together-ish, but not, like, working on the same thing when you get there.
Bern will first go over to Rada, actually. Just say, so, how's it going?
When you go over to Rada, she has like a few books in front of her, but the one that's like directly in front of her is like closed, and she's just sitting there, kind of like this. What?
What you doing?
I think I've done as much as I can do. Since a deity has to choose me versus me choosing them, unless I want to end up like you, which, no offense, I don't.
None taken. I'm a standard. I'm a standard that's unreachable.
Brina just like you don't really see it probably because the book's in front of her face, but she just rolls her eyes behind the book.
I can hear the eyes roll.
But yes, I've managed to come across 6 or 8 deities, so some have more information on the Zims than others. Wait, some of these there's next to no information besides their names and their domains.
Hmm. So, do you know if there's like a next step to this thing? Do you literally just have to sit around and wait, or do you think you could go in like a meditative state or something, make yourself more open to the choosing, or what?
I don't know. Since the last time this happened, the goddess didn't even come to me to tell me herself. She sent the messenger god.
Hmm.
And even then, it took an hour to get the message across. Pretty sure he liked the sound of his own voice.
Okay then.
How does that work?
Goddess, like, and overhearing that, Brina's gonna like kind of tilt her head, and the book comes down so she can see you guys. Is like, the goddess that you serve didn't even talk to you herself.
At least she didn't inform me herself that I was now her cleric.
Huh. I mean, yeah, she's a goddess. I get that, but that seems a little weird. No offense.
None taken. But,
That's the Greek pantheon for you.
but yeah, so I don't even know what I would have to do.
Would I have on the goddess that I recommended to her? Would I have any idea of how? I mean, because like I'm guessing I would probably know how my people like worship. Really, Brina's like not super religious, but she'd have some connection to it.
Like, you would know that there is some praying. You do some, like, they're not exactly sacrifices, like, more like bonfires and things like that, but there wasn't really any. You don't remember anybody explicitly going around and going, "Oh my gosh, this goddess spoke to me, and now I know
Gotcha.
I have to do this." I mean, there may have been one person, but everybody was like, "Oh yeah, he's the town kook. No one's gonna believe him."
Yeah, it's like the one person that said that the god spoke to them was normally not to be relied upon. So
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, last week he was saying the spider wanted him to was gonna give him powers if he let him bite him. Like, yeah, real reliable on this one.
So before I forget, Jen, so you know how you told me 2 weeks ago to do research?
Uh-huh.
So, my mother, sister, nephew, and I went to the county museum for Wild West Days, I think it was called, at the
Uh-huh.
museum. That's where the picture came from.
Uh-huh.
But one of the booths they had there was about a somewhat local Indian tribe, and yet they gave me their little book. Uh, this thing right here.
Oh.
And in it, like, it has a story about the Moon Maiden and how she taught the people hygiene.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just funny. That I was supposed to be
Yep.
doing this one thing, and I came across something that had a story about a lunar deity.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
Actually, when Erden first was recommended to go to try and get celestial magic instead of trying to do his own, when he was probably taught about it, did he get any pointers one way or another on getting a specific class?
Was he? Where was he when he got his? Like, who was he with? Was he with the Druids, or was this before the Druids?
This would be with the Druids.
With the Druids. They probably didn't have many pointers to give because they are not clerics or paladins, so they were like, I don't know, we converse with lots of gods, and they sort of just are like, hey, this king's going to be a problem. Deal with it. You know, or it's like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do this so that nobody else has to. You know, their relationship with the gods is more like a family than it is God and mortals, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like, it's more like a parent-child relationship.
Also, given our understanding, the only way for humans to get magic is to be a druid.
Yeah, they're just born with it. Now, many of them, you know, who don't understand it would claim it's a God-given gift. But yeah, they probably don't know much. Uh, Tal- Tallias in light. Let me just find out.
To tell yes and no.
This is one area he lacked in information. That was an 11. He's like, I know that one is chosen and one you choose, and that's as far as I got because I've been in the Druids since I was very small, and I didn't bother to learn about it because it didn't affect me.
And while he's very curious, it was not one that he had gotten around to yet.
Too busy learning literally every instrument he could get his hands on.
Yep.
You know, priorities.
Little maestro, that one.
He's not a diva.
I will say, with the amount of time it would have taken you to finally figure out, Erden, that you were not going to find the answers you wanted, and then coming down and having this conversation, Idea, you would have made it back to the library. So everybody is currently in the library. Maybe not all together, but they're all currently in the building.
Yeah, Dea probably didn't get very far in the library because she still has books to read.
How much hair does Erden have left after his excruciating ordeal?
Which
They
one?
don't.
The latest one.
He still has most of it, yeah. I don't think it directly affected his hair, so it should be fine.
Oh, so nothing like nothing that would cause you to rip out your own hair.
No, not yet. It's just almost, but not quite.
I just tried to stretch his face out because, like, ah, how?
I've been sitting here for hours, and this is all I get? Nothing?
I would assume
Took
by
me
this time Sabrina's finished the book on the Merlins.
Yeah, it's not a terribly long book. Mostly
Yeah.
names. And...
Because she's gonna, like, I want to go find other stories to read, but I don't want to leave Rada. But at the same time, if Rada's saying that she's just waiting,
Well,
Rada, do you mind if I go and find other stuff that I was wanting to read? I don't want to abandon you. I just want to go read.
I will say it's probably just a little bit after lunchtime, so you guys are probably starting to feel hungry. Except maybe Adea, she probably hasn't recognized she's hungry yet.
I think Adea left in the afternoon to go find the ironsmith.
Well, that's true. Okay, maybe it's evening.
Hmm.
Which means you might be extra hungry if you didn't stop to eat. Idea still probably hasn't noticed, but I know this having had incidents like that where I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten all day, like today, and I was like, yeah. That explains why my stomach's growling. Huh.
Uh-huh.
See, it's not
probably
just
why
me.
it took me all day to figure it out. I ran out of calories halfway through the day.
Like today?
Because I'm sitting in a private lesson, it was just me and a child, and I was like, oh, that's me. My bad.
Now I want toast.
French toast.
you,
French toast.
you
I
can,
do like this view.
you can go, Brina. I was thinking about just looking into something that I probably wouldn't understand anyway.
Could you repeat that, please? I had a
Noisy
mechanical
couch.
sound. We had a couch. I had a couch sound.
Yes.
We heard it.
I gotta keep turning the sensitivity down.
Sorry.
It seems to have reset.
You can go, Brina. I was thinking about doing some research into a subject I probably don't understand anyway.
What's that?
I was either going to look through the history books, see if I could find any references to Tong, or try to see if I could find any of Tong's works.
That sounds like a very interesting research project. I'll be interested in hearing what you find. I'm excited to go find more stories.
Or, better
Figure out if
idea,
we'll go back up to the music floor and look at more Taliesin scrolls, or back to the novels.
have you all eaten yet?
Well, we had some hot chocolate earlier. Cafe
So
downstairs.
no.
No.
You have pastries?
I got.
How about we all eat first, and then we can talk more.
Yes, Dad.
That might be a first.
She'll like close the book and go put it back on the shelf.
Now, what
one
were you
time-
saying about a cafe? I'm buying, by the way. Let's see if they have something a little more substantial than a drink.
Well, no, there was some pastries that I got too. Rana didn't want any pastry. We just got chocolate for her. But no, there was quite a large cafe downstairs.
I was having a rough day.
Aren't we all? Let's at least try and end it a little bit on full stomach, shall we?
Okay.
So y'all head.
We should find Idea.
I'm glad somebody asked.
She'll show up eventually.
She'll show up eventually.
And I guarantee you, she probably won't have eaten either.
I will
She's
say it won't be.
probably on the first floor, sitting next to the fountain, either scraping for coins because she wanted to buy something, or stopped halfway through on the stairs and is reading.
you really that hard up for money? I can help.
I don't think the party knows that she's short on money. The best they know, she still has it. Other than the stuff that she forged into the amulet, she still has a good portion of what's...
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, I don't think we actually know that, but...
As far as I'm aware, I'm the only one who's been making money around here.
To be fair, not a lot of us have applicable occupations.
Adea does. She's just bad at selling stuff.
Mine's technically
Good at giving it away.
I'm still mastering my craft, I think, is what it is. Besides, if we're gonna go and perform, and I'm having to compete with him, yeah.
We've already
I
seen
feel
what
like
happens
you can
multiple times. Do you remember karaoke?
Mm-hmm.
He'll be fine.
Did you make toast?
I did make toast.
and I'm sitting here like toast, trying not to steal my husband's toast.
I could go
Dang
make
it,
more
now I'm
toast.
getting hungry.
Hey, I'm glad I already got dinner.
I already had dinner too, and I'm still hungry.
Yeah, we had dinner
We
too.
already had dinner.
Oh man. Anyway, so you get downstairs. It is not hard to find Idea. She is not on the stairs or at the fountain. She has just plopped down in front of the spot where the book's stored. Like she didn't make it very far from there. She's just like, I'm sitting here.
Where did her
that was
folding
different
table
from
go? Nobody knows.
Somebody put the folding table away, so she doesn't know where it is.
Yep.
And Deetlin's not there to take care of her.
Yeah.
We're getting food. Want to come?
I just imagine her there, and you just hear this.
You should probably come with us to eat.
Yeah, I suppose I can put the book down for now. I mean, book, but yeah, I could probably eat something.
Hey, I'm in that boat with you. Ayrton told me that I had to eat before I could go read. You're toast.
Yes, we are all sitting down at this table. We are going to be talking to each other like a normal family. We're not going to be looking at our devices or reading or anything else.
Please tell me Deetlin walks in as you're telling us that.
I'm not saying that.
It's so funny though.
Or even you just like saying, even us just like finding Idea and saying, yeah, you should probably come with us and eat. Like, I would love to watch Deetlin. Like maybe she's at the help desk or something like that, observing this. It's like, my brother's the responsible one. Wait, what?
The idea that Odea just plopped down in front of where the books are stored because her table had disappeared is only funnier considering the fact that I suspect that those cubbies are not very far from the desk that the employees
Not to mention, she's going to be in everybody else's way that has a cubby.
With chairs. You could have just walked over to him, but no. Like, you probably saw people, like, getting around you, like, excuse me, and then they just look at you, and then they'd walk, like, 10 steps over to the table. Just like...
But nobody really ever bothered her enough to be like, there's a table right there.
There may have at one point been a kid going, Mommy, why is she sitting on the floor? There's a table over here.
I don't know, Chris. Let's get your books and go home.
But they didn't bother
Don't look
her.
at her.
She didn't notice.
I'm sitting on the floor and read books too, Mom. You don't know who's been on this floor. What they've been walking in. This is a substantial cafe. You get in there for those who haven't yet. There is all kinds of things. Lots of them in different languages. Some you'll recognize, some you won't. Lots of options, lots of tables to enjoy. Think of it kind of like a food court at the mall.
Only better because it's in a library.
But probably just as expensive because it's a tourist trap.
Yep. Probably more than a mall. It's probably more like going to Yellowstone. That kind of pricey.
You mentioned a food court, and I'm like, okay, on the one hand, we're on the ocean. There should be good seafood. On the other hand, we're literally in a food court.
Now, if you
Oh,
want
yeah,
all the
there's
different languages, all the import prices.
definitely a lot of Mediterranean cuisine.
Well, that's what Adea is most familiar with.
All the pasta and fish you can. Haha.
just want to have the tomato sauce.
Nope.
Mhm.
But those. This continent is technically being shared with South America. So, yes, there is tomato sauce.
Because
It's
they
a
have
local variation.
because they have the exchange of the cultures already here, just not in the overworld.
Besides,
Or the
tzatziki is much more traditional, and that doesn't require New World crops.
Alright, so what is more advanced? Sahetaru or Atlantis? Atlantis, we're going technological, but it seems like at least Sahetaru is well, at least more
culturally advanced in a way.
Yeah. Like, there's no computers that are like, hey, I can look this book up for you. It's like, huh, give me a sec. Low battery. Honk. Whoop.
Give me a sec. Low battery. No! They literally lined up.
It's the worst of both worlds. Not only can you not use the computer to look things up, but the book is low battery, so you can't look anything up.
It's all e-readers. No.
Yeah.
That's my speaker. You'd have been able to hear me, but I would not have been able to. Oh man, that was funny. Okay. You'll all find things from your cuisine. Like Brina already knows that there's stuff for her from her culture there. Erden, there will be stuff from your culture there if you so choose. So wide variety of stuff.
I haven't had my home food in so long. I'm going to where my comfort food is.
So just because I really think there should be an Orange Julius. It's a birthday.
that line would actually have been in Greek.
Okay, so does everyone want their own home cultures, or are we gonna choose one and try and buy in bulk?
Has already gone to find something that looks familiar and, decently filling.
I'm gonna say the tooth is gonna go for tacos.
Yeah.
Not that Adea isn't willing to try new things, but if she doesn't need to put effort into thinking about what she needs to eat, then why do it?
I think we're just at a point in our journey where food is like, I have an opportunity to have home cooked meal kind of home meals is basically what I'm trying to get out, but I was trying to explain the concept because I know it makes sense in my head, but I'm not sure if it makes sense coming out of my mouth. Just having like a home meal where it's something from home. And just because it's like she's tried a lot of new foods and stuff now, it's like, I just want home food.
But maybe a roll.
What?
But maybe a roll.
Oh, of course. Maybe a roll. or 5. Did you not just see me steal one of my pieces of my husband's toast? Okay,
I
well,
didn't see
I
it,
asked
but I
for
saw
it,
the
but
result.
huh?
I didn't see it, but I saw the result. Like, I didn't see the act.
Dominic wanted toast. He made himself toast. I eyed the toast when he sat down and asked if I could have some toast.
So Rada will turn to Ed and say, you know, we've pretty much had food from everyone's home culture except yours. Now, I'm not going to stop anyone else from having what they want, but I know it's a bit of a touchy subject for you, considering what I've heard.
Oh no, the food's fine. It's just bland. Like yours has some flavor.
Eh. let's try to see what everyone else is used to. At least
Yeah, I can read off the menu, and if you want to try some stuff.
I mean, I'll try some stuff on. I'm not picky. And you said it's bland, correct? Well, has a bland taste.
Well, it's definitely not spicy.
Oh, thanks, Zeus.
Ugh, everything's fish and meatballs.
It should be
And
called.
seasoned well. They're like, here's this dish. It's salmon that's been soaked in dill. Ugh. Why are all the places that my family come from have nasty food, man?
Because they were the ones who were motivated to get out.
I gotta get out of here. Food sucks.
Yeah.
Forget about just freedom. I need food freedom. But it's like we've got salmon soaked in dill. We've got haggis. Like I can't win. Okay, the French had good pastries at least, but
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like, aren't you also French?
It is my
not as good as
continual
I
joke
think.
that the reason that English kept all the French words for everything food related is because their food was just so bad and they never bothered to even talk about it, that when the French gave them words for it, they were like, actually, we're just gonna keep those.
Understand why they went to all of this trouble to get spices from the
India.
East. And never used them.
Right?
You know, it's like, come on, England.
The Scottish have fish and chips though.
But I can't eat those.
Oh right.
They literally wanted the spice trade, but they didn't care at all about the spices for their actual purpose. They just wanted the spices because spices were where the money was at and therefore the power.
This
Don't
somehow
forget
makes
tea.
me think of
Don't
when
forget tea.
pineapple first came to England and they were like a status symbol because you had to be really, really wealthy to be able to afford a pineapple. So people would just like stick them on their mantles until they rotted because it was a showpiece, it wasn't food.
But pineapples are delicious.
They are so
Show it.
tasty.
Eat it.
I wonder who finally, like, who was the first person that like had a showpiece pineapple? It's like, wait, isn't this food? Like, forget.
I'm betting
Like-
it was someone that was just being like, you know, I hate you. I hate this lifestyle. I'm going to take this severely expensive thing and eat it.
It was the British equivalent of Aladdin.
Okay.
Got steal to eat.
Alright. So we figured out our food situation. Okay.
Yep.
Y'all got the food you want. Rada, what do you want to try? There's meatballs. There's gravlax, which is the pickled or the salmon dipped in salt, sugar, and dill. There's pickled herring, crayfish, smørrebrød, which is buttered goose.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Now that definitely sounds better. And it usually consists of buttered rye bread too. So there's like rye bread and okay, so it's a sandwich is what it is. It's a buttered rye bread topped with cold cuts of meat or fish, cheese or spreads, and garnishes. That's probably where smorgasbord comes from. Now that I look at the word.
As
There's
as Erno leads Rada to read off the list, he'll just say to Brina, could you guys get 2 of whatever you're gonna get? I'll pay you back.
You can get reindeer.
Two of whatever I'm gonna get.
Hmm?
Sure.
Thank you.
Right here then.
Beef stew. Called calops. Albus, please don't stand on that.
Well, why is it there if it's not
He
for standing
fits.
on?
If
Exactly.
he fits, he will sit. Come on.
And if Mom doesn't want me to stand on it, I stand.
It's true. I actually put his food in a box because he gets the food everywhere, but he gets really excited now that it's in a box. It's like one of those boxes you get from Costco to carry things.
Right, that
Yeah.
Buttered goose and rye bread sounded good.
Okay, sweet. I'll say in total, Erden, you probably spend like a gold piece just because we're in a fancy tourist trap and a lot of this is actually done by people who are from the culture, so they're properly done. Like a taste of home.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's a tourist trap, they actually have authentic food.
It's a quality tourist trap.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
This is a tourist trap that you don't even care that you're in a tourist trap because the quality is there.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Well, the library has a reputation to hold up.
It does.
And as a certain John Hammond would say, spare no expense.
All right. So you enjoy your food. It's tasty. You get filled. What are your plans for the rest of the evening? Let's see. Yeah, you said you left in the afternoon. Library's probably only open until 6 at the latest. And since there's actually a sundown now, it's probably
Basically
starting to
sundown.
head towards, sunset.
So we stay
Especially
with
because
again, or were we going to find a place?
I know
We probably shouldn't intrude.
we should also let her know that we're looking for a place and don't want to intrude so she's not worried. Would Dietland have come here after her classes?
You haven't seen her. And she did not say. Decisions.
Let's go back to her place anyways. Talk to her about it.
Mhm.
And then go from there.
Sounds good to me.
As we're going out, Ra will then say to the rest of the group, so how long do we want to stay here before we begin making our way back to the wall?
I have a lot more reading to do.
You know that.
Adea, have you forged anything since you've been here?
I'm not. I did go looking for materials today. I was going to forge something, but there was not a good ironsmith in the ironsmithing district. Hans referred me to one. I couldn't find them, and realized I didn't even know what they would look like. And all the ones I did go to, man, the most respectful one, I walked in and they told me that they didn't serve Amazons. That was the most respectful one.
That makes me terrified to know what the less respectful ones were like.
So this is going to take at least another 2 days.
I figure maybe we can get iron when we return to. If I can actually remember the name of the Isles instead of just continuing to call them the Isles when they're.
We're fighting with the Kimmeries, or we're fighting for the Kimmeries, so it's.
Well, Rada has
Uther
always,
and Company.
so Rada has
Albion.
always referred to it as Britannia because she's Greek. She would have known it as Britannia.
Yeah. Maybe we could get iron when we return to Britannia. I think they have a ton of it anyways. And the next weapon I want to make is a little complicated, so a little extra help wouldn't help. Maybe Cadmus will help.
Okay,
Wouldn't hurt.
You realize we're going into a war effort. How much iron are they going to have to spare? If we can get any at all.
I didn't say they had to have spare. I mean, we could pay for it. Also, it's not like we're not going to immediately put it to good use. That's what I do.
Well, I will say this. Thunderclap did leave me a sizable collection of arrowheads. I don't know why he's obsessed with them, but I got a bag of them if you could use it.
I thought about your bag of arrowheads when I was in the ironsmithing shop. Thankfully, there were many of them lying around. I almost repeated our trick that we used as a trap just in one of the shops.
Why?
It was that bad?
That's some
It was
amazing
that
restraint.
Okay. In what way was you being told we don't serve Amazons the most respect that you experienced there?
Apparently, the rest of them think that because I'm a woman or because I don't know. But many of them decided that they wanted to sell me at outrageous prices or just were not not very respectful. Don't I would put my glamour up like I normally do, except for they're all fey, so you can't. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. Rada just folds her arms and leans over to Erd and whispers to him, "Not that anyone was asked or wondering this, but this is why I like women more than men."
Poor Erden's so outnumbered right now.
This is the most confused Ern heard that. He's just wondering, wait a minute, I've been put as a confidant in this. Does this make me an honorary woman, or do they just not see me like that at all? Erdwin turned back. Oh, thank you.
Well, if you think about it, both Tooth and Erden, who are currently the only men in the group, have never treated the women any differently than they would anybody else.
Yeah.
The way you get treated.
Well, they're also the
But
ones
that's
that, well, Ernwell is not actually Celtic. He is honorary Celtic, so.
He's honorary Celtic and honorary woman? Wow, look at you.
All the honorary.
But no, like, especially at the beginning of the campaign, like, we had a very good comparison to how Erden and Tooth treat us in comparison to how, or women in general, in comparison to how some others, Thors and Harold, treated women. So you make a really good point. Like, Amber, of course, never treated us any differently. Other than being more protective of Rena, but that's probably more because she is naive in certain things than being just a girl, so.
Maybe a small bit of both, just knowing how the cultures can be sometimes.
Arias is so self-absorbed that it's not going to make a difference how he treats anyone.
They're all subhuman to me. They're all walking wallets. My wallet specifically.
That was
Actually, then-
Tiberius, right?
Hmm.
I didn't catch the name,
Ernwell,
but as soon as the description, like, oh, no, that's Tiberius. That's only Tiberius.
Yeah, then Ern will lean over to Dea and just kind of like half stage whisper. So, do you want to do a hostile takeover of one of them to make sure you can do your job, or?
I heard hostile. No, we're not.
It does sound exciting.
It was in jest.
Probably not a good
Mostly.
idea, though. Like, hey, I'm not happy about how they treated Ida either. But a
Tooth will
hostile takeover sounds like a problem.
Tooth will lean over and definitely not really stage whisper well at all to you, Erden, and be like, I'm all in. Just tell me what you need me to do. I got a trebuchet, man.
Rena? Just
So
go
wait,
ahead of
are we
these
doing
rules.
this?
What was that, Robin?
Let's go ahead of these Kaudaki. Let's go ahead of these blockheads. Because
We're not going to be involved.
Should we get involved to stop them? I'm pretty sure that you swung me up on your back, and so I'm riding, so it's like, I can't really, other than dropping down off of you to walk with them, if you decide that we're moving forward, I'm moving forward.
Wait, I thought we were still at the table.
yes, now this was
Oh, I
on the
thought we were
way.
I thought we were on the way to deal with it.
I said
Yeah.
on the way. Alright. Now I just said. See, if we do get involved, there are the two most pressing issues I see are they get caught, and if we're anywhere near them and we're associated with them in any way, we get kicked out or arrested with them.
Then wouldn't it be better to try and stop them now?
Guilty by association. So, if you want to stop them,
Prevent
go
guilt
ahead.
by stopping them now?
Tooth's just like, I'd just like to point out no one's ever been arrested yet.
Tooth,
It's
you
the
want-
yes that
Weren't
we're
you
worried
just
about.
arrested?
Exactly.
Detained. They were not actual policemen.
Tooth, you were in jail.
Actually, I'm, at this point, I'm imagining like Rada's like 30 paces ahead at this point.
And Brina's just yelling back. It's like, Idea, don't take over one of the iron stalls. Just don't.
Idea is very conflicted now. It sounds like she has support, but she also knows it's a bad idea. But it sounds so great.
Look, Idea, I own a wine business. I know how to make the business thing deal. You want an ironsmith? I'll buy you an ironsmith.
Dude, have you
Okay.
been to that winery?
That's not the point. It's making good money.
If anyone, Tiberius is running the things. You are not running the business of that winery.
I feel like Rod has now stopped and like turned back to argue. We're and there's gotta be a bunch of people on the street just like randomly looking at us. It's like, what is going on?
What kind of conversation is this? Because us three are still like walking forward towards you.
You're just jealous that you didn't think of it first.
I'm not jealous. I am not a businesswoman. I am a midwife. Most of the time, and a part-time mercenary. Well, not mercenary.
Are you sure you're a midwife? I've never seen you deliver a baby.
Rada stops, turns around, stands over Tooth menacingly.
No, it's like Erden like actually like pushes it off to the side, like, let's step aside from this one here.
Give me an intimidate.
Rada makes a good point about the whole winery thing.
Like, Brina's just like,
how did he get that winery anyways?
You don't want to know, Idea.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure he stole it. And Brina's just sitting on Rada's back. It's like, oh dear. I'm just gonna try and stay as calm as possible over here.
Alright.
This other one would be tumbling off.
And actually, Ern will turn to a day and is like, actually, you know what? We could probably rent it for a day. That has to be a thing, right?
Alright. So,
That sounds better.
But they wouldn't even sell me iron, much less give me the whole thing.
14.
You're only using the tools. You're not,
Tooth,
making your own.
Tooth may have rolled a nat 20, so he is standing his ground and he's like glaring back up at you and it looks ridiculous. He's not backing down.
I don't have thaumaturgy to make this more epic anymore.
Tooth, you really think you need proof that Rada's a midwife? Like,
well, let me ask you this, Tooth. How many times have we come across a woman in labor?
How many times have you gone looking for a woman in labor?
Usually, people go looking for a midwife. The midwife doesn't go looking.
That's a weird occupation. How do you know you're ever going to get paid for it then?
Because giving birth is a dangerous task.
Remind me never to give birth.
You don't even have the parts for it.
What do you know about leprechaun anatomy?
I know everyone has referred to you as a man, and except for apparently this seahorse that Brina has mentioned at least once, men do not bear children inside them.
and seahorses are not men.
They are seahorses.
They're sea-
They're seahorses.
That is very presumptuous.
Now,
Is there somewhere we're supposed to be going?
one more thing. We have never seen you at this winery or even doing business the way Tiberius does. However, we have had an instance where I have taken care of a child. You may not remember it because it was longer than 3 seconds ago.
Oh my gosh, my eyes are so watery.
We've actually seen Adea taking we've seen Adea entertaining a child more often than we've seen Tooth at his winery.
Yeah, remember Igraine? I kept watch over her eldest, while everyone else was scampering about Londinium that first time.
Well, I was just gonna show you. He reaches into his bag, pulls out a bottle of wine, and goes, "If I've never been to my winery, how come I have this from my winery?" And it's like the business name on there and everything.
You've pulled
Dude, I
two.
don't think we can trust anything that comes out of that bag. Like, I don't think that works as proof because you pulled the most random crap out of that bag.
Tooth, you've pulled a pig, a fox, 2 boats, a
Out of that
trebuchet,
bag.
sandwiches, lunch.
Like, you pulled so many things out of that bag. I don't think that proves that you've actually been to this winery.
How many varieties of alcohol has you pulled out of that bag at this point?
Too many.
At least 3.
There's the Irish whiskey, the bottle of wine.
Moonshine.
Oh, yeah, and the moonshine.
And the sponge. I forget what's in the sponge, but he has 2 different bottomless alcohol
He has the
items.
sponge and he has this flask, right?
Yes.
I think the sponge had vodka in it.
Yep. Okay, so there's 4. He hasn't pulled out tequila yet, has he?
No.
Thank goodness.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
that's my thing. Is like, not yet.
Don't encourage him.
Oh gosh, no.
Once he gets gin out, he'll have all the hard alcohols.
We'll say this conversation does get you back to Dietland's.
Wait till he pulls out like rubbing alcohol or mouthwash.
Coming out of the window, so you figure she's probably home. What are everyone's passive perceptions?
18.
18,
15.
15,
11.
11.
23.
All right, it's all over 10. You hear 2 voices in there, and lots of giggling. And I don't think it would take a genius to realize that it's flirty giggling, like girls like to.
Let's see, how many party members have experience with that kind?
And I will say, some of the words you can hear. Erden, you're the only one who recognizes them. They're druidic words. You don't know what they mean, but you recognize the language because you've heard so many people talking it. Or speaking it around you, not talking it.
Like, Ern's first looks around like, I feel like we're in a right. Ern like actually tries to like go up to the door and actually like listen a little closer, like, wait a minute. This isn't right. This is I know the way this is being said, but not these words should not be said.
As you lean in closer and you're listening to the words, it's your sister saying those words. She shouldn't know how to say.
Is she casting spells?
You can give me an Arcana check if you want to see.
She's speaking a forbidden language, and she's using it for flirting.
Adea asks that question out loud.
Flirting in a forbidden language. Is she trying to not have anybody over here for flirting? Does she know
Wait a
we're
minute.
here?
No, they're probably way too distracted. That guy from the sandwich shop.
Dylan?
He was a druid. He is a druid.
Yeah, and he was here this morning. They went to class together. You told them to have a
Mhm.
great time.
She was studying spells and druidic. I saw it on her desk.
What?
What? Ern actually like puts his arms around Adea like, why didn't you mention this before? Do you have any idea the lengths they did to stop me from figuring out their language? I figured out every other local language, but not that one.
I only noticed it last night. Didn't you say something about it this morning too?
I was distracted by toast.
I don't remember. Okay, one of the three of you open the door because there are way too many layers that don't allow me to knock on that door.
I will.
I don't trust myself to not just kick it down and just say, I demand that you teach me this language.
Does the door open inward or outward? Like towards us or into the house?
Into the house.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I'll knock, and I like scoot and dismount off Rada and just walk over. It's like dee dee dee.
I will say you hear a
Like Brina just looks at Aaron and is like, are they hiding the forbidden language or something?
Deetland opens the door. She's like, "Oh, starting to wonder where you guys were. It was getting dark." I believe I'm saying it's getting dark. That's still weird.
Hi, Deetland.
Hi. Have you eaten? Are you good?
Yeah,
Oh, we have.
Yeah, you're at the cafe.
Oh.
Could we come in? We wanted to talk to you about whether we're staying here or staying elsewhere. We can understand we don't want to impose.
I thought
Really,
we were
you're
just updating her that
you don't want to stay in any of the places here because it's a tourist town and they're going to charge 3 times as much as anywhere else. I'm talking like upwards of like 4 or 5 silver pieces a night.
Adea looks at
Adea
looks at Tooth and Aridin and is like, you know, I've slept many times in a forge before. This takeover is sounding really good.
Yeah, no.
Adea?
takeover.
She had
Don't worry
issues
about
in
it.
the iron area today. But we're not interrupting you with any company or anything, are we?
Oh no, it's just Divith. We were studying.
What are you studying?
He has a test in one of his classes tomorrow for philosophy.
Yeah.
Adea presses X to doubt.
You did a what?
Presses X to doubt.
Someone will post it later in the memes.
I'm trying to decide whether Tooth would be brash or not.
Put it into the context of this. It's like he's still like probably arguing with Rada. So do you think he would really be switching that quickly, or would he be still more annoyed at Rada?
Oh, he's not annoyed with her. He's just being obnoxious.
Okay.
Medea doesn't have fiddly magic anymore, so she can't like hide it by doing weird things with thaumaturgy. So she's kind of just like.
Yeah, Rada's more so keeping an eye on Erden to make sure he doesn't do anything he'll regret.
You can actively see Erden trying not to explode. It's like he's trying to keep himself as flat-faced as possible. He is digging into all of his acting experience to make sure this does not happen.
Yeah, your sister was looking at you, and she rolled a nat 20. This is a different dice, mind you. She knows that you are hiding something, and she's looking at you. She's got, that sibling, like, what? She's. Are you okay, Erden?
I'm still alive. My leg hasn't been injured today. It's been great.
Your
Brina's
legs.
just gonna like innocently look back at Eridan's like, did some of the food that I got from my homeland disagree with you or something?
Oh no, I'm good. Doing fine.
Divith is finally gonna speak. He's gonna be like, thank you for help. I'm gonna head out because I should get some rest before tomorrow's test.
Eh,
See you later.
yeah. So, considering that the party has all the stones that auto-translate between the in-group, Rada is going to say in Persian to Brina, like, Ern just mentioned a forbidden language being used improperly.
Yeah.
Medea will choose.
She's responding in Oceanic because might as well.
Medea will choose Slavic to kind of speak to Rada. Also, if that was philosophy, it's the same philosophy as where Amazons come from.
I'm not going to
would Detlin know Angle? The
From
language?
an outsider's perspective, of course.
As far as you know,
Like Ern will mutter under, trying to let it out, and also using the communication stones. Like
angle, like the angles.
Yeah.
It's possible it's very close to Saxon.
How about Kimry?
Probably not. As far as you know, she probably would be Kimry.
Yeah. Ern will basically saying Kimry. Ern was basically saying Kimry, what, the philosophy of human anatomy? It only translates across the stones. Like
if anybody's watching Brina's face, her face just kind of like peaks.
And because you all have a high enough passive perception, Divith does know Kimry, and he turns beat red, and he.
Also, we've just thrown like 4 different foreign languages at Dietland in the middle of this conversation.
She's standing there with her arms crossed. What did you say to make him look like that?
Something about flirting, I think. Brina's just like continuing to get like a little darker pink as she's talking, realizing as she's saying it like, oh, I have a feeling I might not have been supposed to say that. Okay,
she just.
How are your classes?
Good luck with his philosophizing.
What did you hear, Erden?
I heard the tone of your voices.
We heard flirting.
Bother you?
Oh no, that's not my problem.
I'm not being racist, obviously, so what's the problem?
the language itself.
Henry, obviously.
No, I just spoke Kimry.
And what do you think I was speaking then?
The forbidden language of the Druids, obviously.
She's trying to look not surprised that you know what that is.
Living with them over a decade and them desperately trying to obfuscate my ability to learn it makes me pretty good expert in hearing it.
When they want you to learn it.
Because it's that sacred to them.
Does this mean we can talk about the scroll now?
Okay, Professor. What scroll?
Oh.
You talking about the one you saw earlier?
Yeah.
You mean this one? And she goes over to the table and pulls out the scroll that had been out there this morning.
I, for one, intend to cause no commotion, well, no further commotion over this one than has already occurred.
It's just a little bit of writing. That's all.
Or look over
I think it's wonderful to learn
a
new
little
languages,
bit of writing.
especially ones that are hard to learn.
Especially if it's because you
I will say, Erden, you do recognize the script. So, and I'll say that you know enough that you recognize the way it's written is not just like a letter. This is a spell. I don't know what it does, but you know they have a certain way that they write those. They've been secretly using iambic pentameter this whole time. No. Mary sings so many spells. It's a little bit of writing. He's been teaching me.
Also teaching you spellcraft. That's he must really like you.
You know, if you want to learn it, you are capable of casting one of these spells. You are part human. You can do it. In theory, if you have the ability to cast magic without deific help.
Yes, I've seen him try to cast spells. They've all been divine in nature. And actually, I've seen the times when you were practicing with Tong. Those horrendous attempts.
It's not that hard. Like this one creates water. It's not hard.
Oh, no,
Oh, I love that spell. Well, I can't cast it anymore.
you don't understand. He was trying to learn cantrips. What was C2 that you were learning? Like prestidigitation, minor illusion?
Hmm?
Oh.
Oh, and you were trying alter self, because Tom was trying to teach that one to all of us before we went to Londinium.
Oh yeah, that went real well.
Everybody kind
Erden
That's
says
what that
that
one.
went really well. Brought us side eyes, Idea.
for alter self.
Oh.
Look, Detlin, I'm not mad at you. I'm not. I'm just upset that you're getting direct teaching while I was about to learn Pict and the entirety of Celtic just to brute force a translation.
Well, I can teach you how to say water.
That's a great start.
I can try to teach you how to cast the spell too if you want.
Why not? That'll be a great idea. Hey, you know what? We can even bring your boyfriend into this as well. Getting
Okay.
so he can help expand your languages and everything.
Alright. Rada slaps her on the backside of the head.
What did I do this time?
And Brina's just kind of like rocking on her feet. It's like, is David your boyfriend?
He's not exactly.
Oh, you're still in the courting step.
No. Technically, we're betrothed.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna go grab a bucket. And that's where we're gonna end for tonight.
With Dietling going to go grab a bucket.
Yes. We'll start the next session with her attempting how to cast create water. Oh man. You know how funny it would be if he was able to cast a druidic spell and came back with that and Emrys would be like, what the?
Oh yeah, turns out once I figured everything out, I could do it. Y'all were just being stingy.
It wasn't pure blood enough for you. I see how it is.
Going all pure blood on me, huh?
Say that.
So yes, now you've learned that if you have human blood, it is actually possible for you to learn your spells. They may not be as potent, but you can do it.
Oh boy.
It's like, man, now I gotta go see if druidic magic can mix with deific magic, or this is gonna be a problem.
It's like the more he has to figure out some attack-based druidic spell, and then combine it with Idea's effect, and I guess a divine smite or something, and just push it all together and see if it explodes.
So we've gone from a case study of 1 to a case study of 2.
Hmm?
Well, we've had a 100% increase.
Edward won't even think to notify the college of his scientific attempts.